Looking to buy your first home? Just trying to discover where to start can be quite overwhelming and enough to maybe keep you renting or living with your folks. There are so many costs, steps, and details that nobody really clearly explains. So in this video, I'm going to walk you through where to start, what to expect, and get you all the way through to getting your keys and moving in. And there is so much to know that I'm not even going to waste your time asking you to subscribe to this channel in order to stay up to date on the real estate market. So just click the like button and let's begin. Now, as a realtor who has helped hundreds of first-time buyers in my career, I have found that most people often start in the wrong spot. They spend a ton of time on realtor.ca or maybe checking out open houses. But here in BC, the first step is always to identify which agent you want to hire when you're purchasing a property. Now, I know what you're thinking. Of course, Realtor says hire a realtor first, obviously. But the truth is that here in BC, legally you could represent yourself in a transaction without an agent. But when you call the listing agent of a property and you want to see or visit that open house, that agent works exclusively for the seller and they are required to encourage you to hire your own agent who can guide you through the process. Think of this like having lawyers. The seller's lawyer is kind of like the prosecutor and you're the defendant. You could represent yourself, but it's most likely that you shouldn't. And you should have representation of your own. So how is it you hire an agent? Well, if you're most first-time buyers, you will usually just ask your mom and dad who they used, and then you'll be connected with Bill, who's been selling real estate since 1978. Bill could possibly be a great agent, or Bill might just be your mom's cousin who can't hold another job, so he got his real estate license instead. And I kind of joke, but I'm kind of not joking. It is true, however, that most real estate transactions happen by referral. And my business is no different. My past clients trust me, so they encourage their friends and family when it's time for them to move to connect with me in the future. But how do you know if your agent's actually any good? It's pretty hard to find that out. You might think that all agents are the same. After all, they all have the same license, but nothing could be further from the truth. Agents are independent contractors that each have their own individual business model, knowledge base, and experience. Hire the right agent and you're going to have a terrific experience. Hire poorly and, well, you'll be left feeling jaded. So you'll probably end up using your parents' realtor and wishing for the best. That's what I did when I bought my first place. But if you're looking for an experienced team that knows what to do and takes pride in educating their clients, well, you can book a call with me right now using the first link in the description below. Step 2 is to get pre-approved for your mortgage. Now, you hear this one all the time, and first-time buyers screw this one up usually really badly and really often. And in fact, I don't really feel like it's their fault. You see, most often you will have thought you were doing the right thing by going into the bank and speaking with somebody there about what you can afford. But most often those bank branch workers are not necessarily mortgage specialists or mortgage brokers. They ask you about your income, they plug it into some calculator somewhere, and they say you can afford X, Y, or Z, which often ends up not being the case after you factor in things like car payments, student loans, credit scores, and of course, your down payment. So it's better to work with either a mortgage broker or a mortgage specialist to determine what you can afford. A proper pre-approval of what you can afford is honestly a little bit of a pain in the butt in order to get all ironed out. You have to supply pay stubs, tax returns, banking info, a job letter from your company, or even proof of self-employment income. But this step is worth it. There's nothing more heartbreaking for a buyer than finding the absolute perfect place out there and then realizing afterwards that you can't afford it. When you speak to the bank and they finally run all of the paperwork and just let you know it's really out of your budget. This is because you just wasted all of these weeks or months looking for that perfect place, which was never really in your budget at all. Now, mortgage specialists or brokers can be just like agents. Most often you will work off of a referral. If you don't have a referral and you want to know who I trust, try working with Citywide Mortgage Services. I know them, I trust them, and I use them myself. And I'll make sure there's a link to their mortgage application down below this video in the description as well, in case you would like to use it. So now you have your agent and you have your budget. It must be time to start looking, right? Well, most agents would agree, but personally, I don't. The next step should in fact be to sit down with your agent and work as a team to come up with a plan. When I first started, I wasted tons of my own time and my clients' time by not putting together a plan for them in the first place. I didn't know exactly what was most important to the client, and often neither did they. This is because we did not put together some sort of a game plan. Can you imagine getting, say, on a flight and the pilot doesn't have a flight plan? They may not know where you want to go. Like, where exactly is this plane going to land? Edmonton? Winnipeg? Well, we're not quite sure. Maybe I want to go to Maui. So when we work with clients, before seeing homes, we sit down with them and discover everything, and I mean everything, that's important to them. Where they want to live, how much space they need, and realistically, what fits what they can afford. But this meeting should also lay out many other details. For instance, what I actually do for you as your agent. What should you expect from us? And what are your obligations to us as the client? Now, I know most agents don't do this, but they definitely should. You should also have a discussion about how much your agent is going to get paid and who is paying their fee. A topic that most agents just hope will never get asked. But we prefer to be upfront and completely transparent. For example, what happens if the property you want to buy is offering a very low commission that I'm not willing to work for? Or on the other hand, what if you're offering on a brand new property being sold by a developer, and that developer is offering me a brand new car to sell you into their development? And I'm not kidding. That can happen. So let's recap. Now you have your agent, you have your budget, and you have a plan that you've worked out together. Finally, now is the time to start searching for homes. Your search will always start online. Now, any good agent will provide you with some sort of a website that is auto-populated by listings that fit your criteria that you outlined in your original meeting and you put together in the plan. Now, this doesn't mean you are not going to be tempted to search on other sites, but trust me, if you're on Zillow or REW or any other site other than Realtor.ca, you are actually the commodity. These are lead capture websites, and they don't have any special listings on them at all. If you find listings on those sites that you don't find on the site that your agent provided to you, it's probably because those listings are somehow outside of the criteria or the plan that you came up with. We get this all of the time.
Hey, why is that listing over there not coming up in my search?
Well, it's because one of the factors doesn't line up, like maybe it has a higher maintenance fee than you were looking to pay, or it's on a 4,000 square foot lot when you said you were only looking at 7,000 square feet or more. That's why it's important to have a plan in place so you're not going outside of what you say you do or don't want. And it's okay as you go if you decide or discover that your preferences change, that you can ask your agent to change up your search so you're seeing the right properties. But when you identify a property that you would actually like to see, then what? Then we go to showings. Actually seeing properties in person. This is the part that everybody has a whole lot of fun with, or it can be extremely frustrating. You should honestly have to do almost nothing here. Your agent that you have hired should take care of all of this for you. Do not call the listing agent. Remember, they are the prosecutor. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a negotiation. Also, never say,
Well, I don't really want to bother my agent. They're very busy.
or you may even want to fire your agent if they are too busy to take you out and do their job. Your agent is going to get paid a whole lot of money if you purchase a property. So let them earn their paycheck by coordinating and scheduling showings. And make sure that they are the ones gathering the information that you want about a property. It's frustrating for me. A lot of people think that all we do is either open the door or just negotiate the deal. It's not what we do here. We are a full service real estate firm. Then most likely we're going to set up the properties that you do like on what we refer to as a tour. A tour is when your agent sets up maybe 3, 4, or 5 different properties that you would like to see all at once. Now on your first tour, you may want to see a variation of different types of properties, big ones, small ones, old ones, new ones, to help you narrow down the search. That, after all, is the name of the game. You're not looking to buy 5 different properties, you're only looking for one. Every time you see a property, you should be thinking of refining your search to what you want and to what you need by size, age, and area. So you don't waste your time looking at properties that have no real potential and that you have zero interest in making an offer in at all. Now, on your first tour, you might see some absolute junk like you don't even want to take off your shoes. You might see some nice places, or you could possibly find your dream home. But if you make it to your second tour, you should only be seeing real contenders, so you're not wasting your time. And thankfully, the system we have of putting a plan together in advance limits any time wastage at all. I know how valuable your time is. Now, I personally find that most people that work with our team view a total of about 8 properties or less before making a purchase. Other agents, and I probably fall in this category myself when I was younger, well, they can often show between 25 and 40 homes. But again, this is the benefit of the original meeting or plan that we had set up back in step 3. Personally, I know that if you're a buyer that sees more than 12 properties in person, that's probably about the line where you start to get quite frustrated. And I find that if you see over 15 properties in person, those are the buyers that start to lose interest or start to get frustrated, and they never really end up taking the plunge because they feel overwhelmed and confused. Again, all a result of not having a direction set in the first place. But then it happens. This is when you find the one, and it's time to start making an offer. Now, making an offer is extremely involved, and this is the part where we start to lose some people. You will, of course, focus on price, but there are also other important things like dates for completion or the closing of the sale, the size of the deposit, included items like, say, appliances, and of course, terms or other promises both from the buyer or the seller that they will perform as part of the contract. And then there is usually a list of conditions most commonly referred to here in BC as subjects. Now, conditions can be many, many things, but as a first-time buyer watching this video, I want you to know that there are very common stipulations that you will likely put into your contract before you move forward with any sale. Most often, these conditions, stipulations, or subjects, whatever it is you like to refer to them as, contain financing or getting your mortgage finalized at the bank, inspection of the property, searching for the title and identifying the charges on that title, reviewing the property disclosure statement provided by the seller, and verifying insurance coverage for both availability and cost. But now, most often, first-time buyers are purchasing strata units as a result of their lower costs. Most offers these days will also include reviewing 2+ years of strata documentation, including bylaws, financials, and council minutes of AGMs and SGMs, and now also reviewing the strata's insurance coverage. This is a big deal. Not a lot of people focus on it, but trust me, that's one that has to be in there these days. Then, of course, you will want to familiarize yourself with BC's new cooling off period as well, where any buyer can walk away from any offer at any time within the first 3 business days for a small fee for no reason at all, none. So now your agent and you have constructed an offer with all of these terms and conditions as you would like to see them. Then it's up to your agent to get your offer presented to the seller, and this happens through the seller's agent. Once that offer is presented, there are 3 different things that could happen. First, the seller could accept your offer as is. They could counter your offer, or third, they could reject your offer outright and not respond at all. Most often, you will receive some sort of counteroffer. This could be on the price, on the completion date, or really anything else in the terms of condition, which would make the deal work better for both parties. But here's the real key. Do not make the mistake of getting offended when you get a counteroffer back, and neither should the seller. Remember, you're both working opposite sides of the transaction, so trying to put that on paper and then working out what is the best deal for each side, they're opposing views, and often people get their backs up quite a bit and they get quite defensive in the offer and counter offer process. This should not be the case. Just try to remember that if you don't like the counter offer you get back, just try and stay calm, cool, and collected. You also have those exact same options of acceptance, countering, or rejecting the proposal. Now, one thing that first-time buyers are often not comfortable with is that these negotiations happen very quickly, within a matter of hours. Be prepared that this is going to go faster than maybe you're comfortable with. But in slower markets, maybe like we're in right now, you should know that it's very common that both the buyer and seller need to feel like they've ground out the best deal for themselves So negotiations could last days. But then eventually, hopefully, something magical happens and you get an accepted offer. Congratulations, you just bought a house. Well, almost. In reality, you have the right to buy a house, and now it's time to focus on those conditions and get them satisfied. And that is what we refer to as doing your due diligence. Normally, you will be able to negotiate between 5 and 7 business days to perform your due diligence. This means satisfying your financing, or what I like to jokingly call doing whatever it takes to make your mortgage broker happy, and then reviewing all of the documentation that you asked for when you set out your conditions in the offer. Now, here's a little pro tip for you. Most often, when I get an accepted offer on, say, I don't know, a Tuesday, and it's subject for 7 business days, meaning the following Thursday, most often my buyers won't perform their inspection until the following Wednesday or Thursday. They might leave it right up to subject removal date. This is because inspection costs you money. If you pay for an inspection and your financing doesn't come through at the last minute, you're not getting that cash back. Also, in this due diligence period, you are responsible to review all of the documents and approve them. And yes, you should rely on your agent you hired to walk you through the process and what all of this means. But ultimately, you are the adult here. You are the one responsible to make sure you know and understand exactly what it is you're reading and signing off on. Most complaints in real estate transactions arise from when a buyer or a seller rely too heavily on their agents and don't take responsibility to understand exactly what's happening. Something I never want to have happen with my clients. And then the last part of your due diligence is to either collapse the deal because something didn't check out, or go ahead and approve the deal by signing off on what is referred to as the subject removal, removing your conditions from the contract, making the sale official, and providing the deposit money. Then, congratulations, you bought your first place. But there is still one last step, which is most commonly referred to as closing, or what we call here in BC, completion and possession. Now, in the offer, you would have negotiated when you want to pay for the rest of the property and essentially close the deal. This often happens 30 to 120 days after subject removal. And yes, it's flexible, but at the time of negotiation and not after. The completion date, or the closing date as it's sometimes referred to, is the day that the money and the title change hands. And prior to that day, you will need to sign with both your new mortgage lender or the bank and your lawyers. Completion is the day that you own the home, and as such, you better make sure your insurance is valid. But you don't get the keys until another date in the contract, which we refer to as possession. Also, definitely outlined in your offer, but this could happen as soon as the same day as completion. But generally here in BC, possession is set 2 to 4 days after completion, so everyone can move without having any problems or incurring any other costs like bridge financing. Now in BC, most often you will receive your keys from your own realtor on the possession date, and you should both go together to the property to make sure that the home and the rest of the property are in good order, including things like any included items, say appliances. Then, well, there's nothing really left to do but move in and, of course, start paying your mortgage. Now, this is all based on if you are buying your first place from another Canadian citizen or resident. If you're buying a home from a foreign national, you're going to want to watch this video right now to make sure you are not stuck with hundreds of thousands of dollars that the non-Canadian seller owes to the CRA.